What's up, fam? Darius here. I just finished a long day, a very emotionally taxing day. And I came across a few things today that I felt like, man, it may be helpful for me to kind of pull the curtain back and to allow some of you at least to get some insight on the emotional impact that acts of injustice has not just personally and individually, but communally on people. You know, incidents like the murder of George Floyd, they are communal emotional triggers that just send shockwaves through the African American community. And as spiritual leaders, it becomes really complex trying to, one, navigate your own emotions because you know what you've experienced personally, navigate your emotions as a parent because the kids are asking hard questions, and then also to help navigate the people you're serving through this. So what I want to do is I just want to give you an inside view. I'm just going to read just a few things that I've gotten recently. Either they directly came to me or my office forwarded them to me, just to kind of give you a sense of how this emotionally impacts us as a community. These are triggers, not because they are isolated incidents. It may seem like isolated incidents because some of these incidents, some of them result in death, all of them do not. And some of them are covered. And by that I mean covered by media or captured by film, and a lot of them are not. And so I just want to read a couple of things. So one, this text says, I'm pissed, I'm triggered, I'm scared. This video is like a volcanic eruption for me, and I'm more scared to leave my house as a black man living in a white town than I am afraid to get infected with COVID. There's a palpable pain in my chest, and even when I tried to avoid watching the video, a talk show showed it and I didn't know it was coming and I couldn't avoid it. It messed me up. This text comes from a grown man, by the way, who has two graduate degrees from two different Ivy League institutions. So he is used to navigating majority spaces. He's well aware of the reality of some of these issues, but that's an example of the emotional impact that this had on that person. This one was forwarded to me by our office. It's an email that came in from one of the members of our spiritual family, and this is what this person said. They said that their child came to them the other night and asked, can I be baptized so that I will be saved and go to heaven just in case I die? And the parent says, I don't know how to feel because I feel like my son is preparing himself for death even before he knows his purpose. Keep in mind, he's only 12. I don't know how to translate the emotional impact that has on you as a parent. I remember both instances. Like yesterday, the first time both of my boys got called a nigger. I remember it. I remember my oldest self. I remember where he was playing soccer. I remember his outfit that day. I remember the yellow soccer shirt and the black shorts. I remember it. I remember it. This was in Jersey. This wasn't in the South. This was in Jersey. I remember last year, the first time my youngest got called. And it's a text a dad never wants to get. I remember where I was in the kitchen on the counter. I remember when that text came in. And he said, I got called N-word today. That day it happened, I posted it on Instagram. So he came home, and I remember that he came home, I'm looking at him, like, talk to me. He's like, I'm good. And so I stopped him, I grabbed him by his shoulder, and I turned him toward me. I said, talk to me. He broke down crying. So when people are experiencing things like this, I got one more, there's a text from a parent. This is, hey, Pastor, I know you have a lot on you, but my son is asking me the question, Mom, why are they killing us? I don't know what to say. It is communally, emotionally traumatic. And so this is where I'm going with this, and I'm done, I wrap up. But I think sometimes I always believe we should move from empathy to advocacy, but there can't be empathy if there isn't understanding. And I wanted to pull back the curtain so that people understood the emotional ramifications of this. Now, everybody that reached out to me or that I heard from indirectly, here's the good thing. They got the tools, right? So they got the spiritual support from their spiritual family. And then many of them are going to have the emotional tools to manage and to process this properly. But imagine, right? Imagine the people that are feeling everything that these people are feeling who do not have the tools, don't have the family support system or the spiritual support system, or they don't have a degree of emotional wellness to be able to process this in a constructive way. Now take that and compound all the other implications of injustice, like the spiritual implications of injustice and how it becomes an evangelistic barrier for the African American community and how it becomes really, really difficult to reach people and to invite them to be a part of a faith that is sometimes perceived in a way to be a faith that is not for them. Like how difficult that is and how it makes them ripe to be picked off by other religious streams and tribes that affirm their dignity and their worth. Like the struggles family members, the struggles that believers are dealing with family members who are saying like, oh, yo, how are you a Christian? They don't even, people dying in the streets, they don't even say anything. So the spiritual ramifications of this, Dr. Anthony Fauci just mentioned, he said it himself, like the physical ramifications of injustice and how it plays out in health disparities and how COVID-19 has just exposed that. It is ravaging through the African American community. And is it before we go to working out and obesity and soul food, we also got to talk about food deserts. We got to talk about healthcare treatment. So imagine a person navigating through all of that without the spiritual and emotional tools to process that in a constructive way. You know, this is why I believe the Bible isn't just a rule book for Christians. It is an architectural design from our creator and designer that brings us to human flourishing. It is the equivalent of an operations manual that comes with a new device that you buy. That says like, hey, don't take your phone and put it in the oven. It is intended to protect, and to preserve the product that's been created to ensure it's functioning optimally. And when that blueprint is violated, there are implications and ramifications that come along with that. It's like when the scriptures say, hey, fathers, don't provoke your children to wrath. They're saying, hey, as a parent, you need to be intentional in this area because there will be implications. That child is broken, sinful, imperfect, and they're going to respond in a way that's going to be self-destructive and destructive for you and your home if you're provoking them to wrath. And I think the same principle applies when it comes to something like justice, where the scriptures repeatedly say, hey, treat people equitably. Treat people equitably. It is not enough just to not do bad. James says to him that knows to do good and does it, that's sin. So when the scriptures say, hey, treat people equitably, whether that's personally or systemically, it's trying to ensure human flourishing because it's saying there's going to be implications when you do not. A person is only going, or a people, they're only going to manage that in a constructive way for so long. Because it's a violation of the Creator's design. And so I don't know any spiritual leader that condones anything like rioting. No spiritual leader condones that. But people do understand the emotion that is often mismanaged that drives it. Because people are traumatized. And in instances like this, whether it's Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd or so many others, they're just triggers that contribute to this communal trauma. So hopefully, this transparency help normalize what some of you are feeling, right? It helps hopefully give some language to what you're feeling in your heart. And for others of you, maybe who are not a part of the African American community, hopefully it helps you understand the pain you may not necessarily be able to relate to, but I think the Bible calls us to have empathy for. Now we should move from empathy to advocacy, but this is kind of my attempt to just at least give you a glimpse of these are the things we're kind of navigating through, and we need prayer for our souls, and we need change in our society, and but we are still leaning on, believing in the God of our weary ears and the God of our silent tears. So, man, I love y'all. We're gonna be all right.